Hi all, it's Catherine Burgess with Burgess Group Compass. We're talking about last week's Boulder County real estate numbers, nationally, what's happening with buyer demand, and how that relates to our local market. So last week we had 162 new listings, and that compares with 2018 we had 123, in 2019 we had 119, and in 2020 we had 142. So higher than all of the last 3 years. It's awesome. Then under contracts had an interesting week. 2 weeks ago, we were at 90 under contracts, and last week we popped up to 131 under contracts. That compares with in 2018, there were 90, in 2019, there were 100, and in 2020, which was an outlier, there were 136. So outlier year, I should say. Then from a month supply of inventory standpoint, last week we had 1.65 months supply of inventory. So that was actually higher than what we saw year over year. In 2018 we had 1.26, in 2019 we had 1.28, and in 2020, again, outlier number, 2.45. So we need all this inventory. That's really good news. So from the price bands, looking at the price bands, we saw that after several weeks of very quiet behavior, the entry-level market from 0 to 500,000 had 130% sell-through rate. So a lot of activity there, a lot of things that we had enough inventory come to market that people could really shop, and then as a result, they were going under contract. And then above 500,000, last week, the sell-through rate definitely indicated that the conditions are favorable to buyers. So right now, buyers, you should be seeing a little bit more to work with and having an easier time. So nationally, we've been talking for the last few weeks about how the trending points to buyer demand stabilizing a little bit nationally. And we see this through leading indicators. So you can review what we talked about in other videos, but what I want to highlight for this week is that the Mortgage Brokers Association has now published that since March of 2021, we have been seeing a slight decline in the number of mortgage applications. And additionally, our current rate is 7% below what we saw in January and February of 2020. So those mortgage application numbers appear to have stabilized. And again, that's another arrow pointing us in the direction of we're seeing that buyer demand nationally stabilize. Now, are we seeing buyer demand stabilizing locally is another question. So let's go back to what we just talked about, that 2 weeks ago, we had 90 under contracts. Last week, we popped up to 131 under contracts. So if you have been watching these videos for a long time, you'll recall that this year we've seen buyer demand have this jagged unpredictability, and we appear to be continuing to have that now. And it could be that nationally, communities everywhere are having that type of unpredictable buyer demand, but when you put all the numbers together, you can see trends in a way that you can't with that micro data. So in any case, for us locally, it is a little bit up and down. However, all of those downs give buyers a little bit more breathing room. So hopefully, if you decide that now is a time to engage as a buyer in the market, hopefully you will have a little bit friendlier experience than what we saw in the past couple of months. Sellers, remember that it is still a strong seller's market. We are definitely in the month supply of inventory that makes it so that it's a great time to sell. So call us with questions. We're happy to be a resource. Like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you again next week. Thanks.